Susan Miller adjusted her navy blue diplomatic uniform one last time as she stood before the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. The polished metal surface reflected her tired face, showing lines that hadn't been there when she first took this position 15 years ago. She tucked a strand of graying brown hair behind her ear and took a deep breath. "Are you ready, Ambassador?" asked Admiral Jack Wilson, standing tall beside her in his crisp military uniform. His presence was unusual at these proceedings, but today was no ordinary day. "As ready as I'll ever be," Susan replied. 15 years of smiling through their insults and condescension. At least today will be different. The massive doors slid open silently, revealing the circular chamber beyond. 12 alien representatives sat in elevated positions around the room, looking down at the central speaking platform. The architecture was designed to make petitioners feel small. Susan had grown used to the intimidation tactic years ago. The council chamber exemplified the grandeur of Alpha Centauri Station. Crystalline walls rose hundreds of feet upward, displaying the star field beyond. Representatives from every major species in the known galaxy were present. The blue-skinned Jilari with their translucent bodies, the stone-like Vordans whose faces showed no expression, the silver-skinned Tulaki, oldest members of the council, who watched everything with their multifaceted eyes. "Ambassador Susan Miller, of Earth," announced the council speaker, a tall insect-like being whose chittering voice was translated through the universal communicator. "You come before us with humanity's application for full council membership, the 5th such application in 20 years. Susan stepped forward onto the central platform, feeling the familiar weight of the ceremonial diplomatic pin on her chest. For 15 years that pin had symbolized her restraint, her willingness to follow protocol, to bend to council rules even when they were unfair to human interests. "Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Council," Susan began, her voice steady, "I stand before you today representing the United Nations of Earth and all human colonies in council space. We have met every requirement for membership as outlined in the Charter. Our technology levels are approved. Our cultural development is stable. Our record of peaceful cooperation spans decades." The Zilari representative made a sound that humans had learned was their version of a dismissive laugh. "Yet your species remains fundamentally volatile. Your history is marked by conflict. Your adaptability makes you unpredictable." Susan had heard these same arguments at every meeting. Today she would not argue against them. "The council has reached its decision," announced the speaker. "By unanimous vote, Earth's application for full membership rights is denied. The council recommends a probationary period of 50 additional Earth years before reapplication." Murmurs of agreement echoed through the chamber. Some representatives didn't even try to hide their satisfaction. Humans were useful for trade and as a source of unique biological compounds, but full membership would give them voting rights and access to advanced technologies the council preferred to keep restricted. Susan stood silently for a moment. Though, previous years this would be when she would make a gracious speech accepting the council's wisdom while requesting reconsideration. She would promise human cooperation and patience. Not today. "I understand your decision," Susan said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "And I must inform this council that this will be the last time we request membership." The chamber grew quiet. This was not the response they expected. "Have you finally accepted your place, human?" the Jilari representative asked, his translucent skin pulsing with blue light. Susan reached up and unpinned the ceremonial diplomatic pin from her chest. The simple action drew gasps from several representatives who understood the symbolic weight of the gesture. "No," Susan replied, placing the pin on the speaking platform with a soft click that somehow echoed through the silent chamber. "We have simply decided to stop asking nicely." The Vordan representative leaned forward, stone face cracking slightly to reveal confusion. "Ambassador Miller, please explain the meaning of this action." Susan glanced at Admiral Wilson, who gave her an almost imperceptible nod. "For 50 years humanity has played by your rules," Susan said. "We've accepted unfair trade terms. We've watched our colonies get raided by pirates who somehow had access to Council security codes. We've provided you with medicines derived from Earth's biodiversity, while being denied treatments for diseases ravaging our outer colonies. Susan took a step forward, looking directly at each Council member. We've smiled politely while you discussed how to keep humans dependent on Council approval. We've behaved exactly as you demanded, hoping to earn your respect and acceptance. The Tulaki elder shifted uncomfortably. These are serious accusations, Ambassador. They are not accusations. They are facts, Susan replied. Facts backed by evidence we've been gathering for years. Did you truly believe we wouldn't notice? That we would remain ignorant forever? Admiral Wilson stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Susan. This is Admiral Jack Wilson, Chief of Earth's Defense Forces, Susan introduced. His presence here today is not ceremonial. Before any representative could respond, emergency alarms began blaring throughout the station. Screens around the chamber lit up with urgent messages from a dozen worlds. What is happening? Demanded the Council speaker, mandibles clicking in agitation. The Zilari representative's aide rushed into the chamber, his blue skin nearly white with shock. Massive human fleet signatures have appeared simultaneously around every Council homeworld. They appeared out of nowhere. Our detection systems never saw them coming. Pandemonium erupted in the chamber. Representatives shouted at their aides, demanding explanations, calling for defensive measures. Susan remained calm at the center of the storm. The human fleets will take no aggressive action unless provoked. They are there to ensure that this conversation continues on equal terms. This is an act of war, screeched the Zilari representative. No, Susan replied. This is an act of equality. For too long, you've held power over us through technological advantages and political maneuvering. Today, that advantage ends. Admiral, Wilson stepped forward. While you've been watching our official shipyards, we've been building in the shadows. While you've been feeding us outdated technology, we've been developing our own. You believed us contained. You were wrong. Susan looked at the Council members, many now huddled with their aides reviewing the shocking reports coming in from their homeworlds. The Council has 3 days to reconsider humanity's status, Susan announced. We don't want war. We never did. But we will no longer accept being treated as lesser beings. As Susan and Admiral Wilson turned to leave the chamber, the Tulaki elder called out, This is not how diplomacy works, Ambassador Miller. Susan paused at the doorway and looked back over her shoulder. Diplomacy works when both sides respect each other, Elder Tulaki. For 50 years, we tried respect. Now we're trying honesty. The massive doors closed behind them with finality, leaving the Council in chaos. Humanity had stopped being nice. The galaxy would never be the same. General Alan Brooks stood on the bridge of the UES Redemption, watching the stars through the massive forward viewport. The flagship of humanity's secret ghost fleet was an impressive sight, over 2 miles long with sleek lines that hid its true power. For 10 years, Earth had been building these ships in hidden shipyards beyond Neptune, far from the prying eyes of Council observers. Status report, Alan said, his voice calm despite the historic nature of what they were about to do. Commander, Lily Chen, his communications officer, looked up from her station. All 300 ships report ready, sir. Stealth systems functioning at optimal levels. No indication that any Council defense grid has detected our presence. Alan nodded, a small smile forming on his weathered face. He had been a young lieutenant when humanity first made contact with the Galactic Council. He remembered the excitement, the hope for a bright future among the stars. That hope had slowly died as the Council revealed its true nature, not partners, but overlords who saw humans as useful tools at best, potential threats at worst. Put me through to all ships, Alan ordered. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. The Redemption was positioned above the Zilari homeworld, cloaked from detection by technology. The Council believed humans were decades away from developing. Channel. Open, sir, Lily said. Alan straightened his uniform and spoke clearly. This is General Brooks to all Ghost Fleet vessels. For 10 years we've trained in secret. We've built this fleet while showing the Council only what they expected to see. Today we show them the truth." He paused, looking at the tactical display showing human ships in position above every Council homeworld. "Our mission is simple. Show strength without aggression. We are not here to start a war. We are here to end the lie that humanity must beg for scraps from the Council table. Execute Operation Revelation. Brooks out." Alan nodded to his tactical officer. "Disengage cloaking systems. Let them see us." Throughout Council space, on 12 different worlds, human warships materialized as if by magic. Defense systems blared, warnings too late. The ships were already there, weapons primed but not firing. A silent message of capability that no Council race could miss. On the Zilari homeworld, Supreme Leader Calax stared in disbelief at the massive human warship now, visible through the crystal dome of his palace. The vessel hung in the sky like a steel promise dwarfing any Zilari ship. "Impossible," Calax whispered, his blue skin pulsing with agitation. "Their technology is decades beyond what our intelligence reported." His security chief was frantically checking readings. "The ship appeared out of nowhere, Supreme Leader. Our sensors detect no warp signature, no approach vector. It's as if it was there all along, invisible to us." A communication request chimed on the main screen. With trembling fingers, Calax accepted it. General Alan Brooks appeared on screen, his expression neutral. "Supreme Leader Calax, I am General Alan Brooks of Earth's Defense Forces." "What is the meaning of this?" Calax demanded, trying to maintain his dignity. "This aggressive action is not aggressive at all," Alan interrupted smoothly. "We have not fired a single shot. We have simply revealed our presence. A presence that has been here, watching for quite some time." Calax felt cold. Fear spread through his translucent body. "Watching?" Alan smiled slightly. "We've observed your military planning sessions. We've recorded your discussions about keeping humans technologically dependent. We've documented the attacks on our colonies that you claimed were pirate raids, but were actually carried out by ships under your direct command." "That's absurd," Calax protested, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Alan asked. "Should I play back your conversation from 3 months ago where you personally ordered the raid on our Proxima colony? The one that killed 47 civilians?" Calax went silent, his color fading to a pale blue. "The Council has 3 days to reconsider humanity's status," Alan continued. "Until then, all Council ships are grounded. All Council communications are monitored. Any hostile action will be met with immediate response. You cannot dictate terms to the Council." Calax regained some of his anger. "We are 12 united worlds against one." Alan leaned forward slightly. "Are you certain of that unity, Supreme Leader? Even now, some Council members are reaching out to us privately, eager to establish new relationships with Earth. It seems not everyone shares your views on humanity's place in the galaxy." The communication ended, leaving Calax staring at a blank screen. Similar scenes played out across Council space. On some worlds there was outrage, on others, fear, on a few, quiet relief that the balance of power was shifting. Back on the Redemption, Alan received updates from across the fleet. "Sir, we have the Council's emergency session on monitor," Lily reported. "They're in complete disarray. The Vordan representative is suggesting immediate negotiations. The Tulaki are being suspiciously quiet." Alan nodded. "And the civilian response?" "Mixed." "As expected," Lily replied. "On worlds where Council propaganda has been strongest, there's fear. But on several worlds, especially those with significant trade relationships with Earth, public opinion seems cautiously supportive." Lieutenant Paul Rodriguez, intelligence officer, approached with a datapad. "Sir, we've intercepted some interesting communications. It appears the Tulaki have been developing biological weapons specifically designed to target human DNA." Alan took the pad, his expression darkening as he read the details. "How long have they been working on this?" "Based on these files, at least 7 years," Paul answered, "and with the Council's full knowledge." Alan handed the pad back. "Send this to Ambassador Foster immediately. She'll need it for the Council session tomorrow." He turned to look at the Gilari homeworld on the main screen. For generations, humans had tried friendship. They had offered open trade, cultural exchange, and scientific collaboration. In return, they had been manipulated, exploited, and targeted for destruction. Commander Chen, record this message for transmission to all Council worlds on all frequencies bypassing official channels, Alan ordered. When ready, he spoke clearly. People of the Council worlds, I am General Alan Brooks of Earth. What your governments have told you about humans is not the full truth. For decades, we have sought peaceful cooperation, while your leaders have conspired against us. Today, we reveal ourselves not as conquerors, but as equals, who will no longer be denied our rightful place. The evidence of your leaders' deception will be made available to all citizens. Judge for yourselves who truly seeks peace. As the message went out across the galaxy, Alan watched the distant lights of the Zilari capital city. Somewhere down there, plans were being made, strategies discussed. The Council would not surrender power easily. Now we wait, Alan said quietly, and we see who truly values peace, and who merely uses it as a weapon. The human ghost fleet maintained its silent vigil over the Council worlds, revealing a truth that had been hidden for too long. Humanity had never been weak. They had simply been patient. That patience had just run out. The emergency council chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other while aides rushed back and forth with urgent messages from their homeworlds. The massive room, normally a place of order and protocol, now resembled a marketplace. At peak hours, Ambassador Kate Foster stood calmly in the center of it all. She had replaced Susan Miller as Earth's representative just hours ago, stepping into a role that had dramatically changed overnight. Unlike Susan's years of forced smiles and diplomatic restraint, Kate's mission was different. She was not here to ask. She was here to tell. Order. We will have order. The council speaker's translated voice barely cut through the noise. His insect-like form trembled with agitation as he tried to regain control of the session. The Zilari representative stood suddenly, his blue skin pulsing with bright patterns that indicated extreme anger. This is outrageous. These humans threaten us with extinction and we sit here debating? No one has threatened extinction, Kate said, her voice somehow carrying through the chamber without shouting. Not a single shot has been fired. Your warships hover over our capitals, the Zilari shot back. What would you call that if not a threat? Kate looked around the room slowly, making eye contact with each representative. I would call it a conversation, on equal terms. For the first time since humans entered galactic society, we speak to you not as supplicants but as equals. The Vordan representative, his stone-like face serious as always, leaned forward. Ambassador Foster, while I understand Earth's frustration with the Council's previous decisions, this military display is unprecedented. Is it? Kate asked. When the Dravian Empire threatened Council space 80 years ago, did you not position your fleets above their homeworld? When the Krell refused to stop their piracy, did you not blockade their system? She paused, letting the words sink in. The difference is not in the action, but in who takes it. You expected humans to remain forever in our assigned place, useful but powerless. That expectation ends today. The chamber grew quieter as Kate activated a hologram in the center of the room. It showed historical footage of council ships attacking human colonies, followed by intercepted communications between council races, discussing ways to keep humans subjugated. For 50 years we tried friendship, Kate continued, her voice steady. We offered open trade, cultural exchange, and scientific collaboration. In return, you conspired against us, stole our technology, and treated our people as expendable. She looked directly at the Tulaki elder, whose silver skin seemed to have lost some of its luster. Some of you even engineered biological weapons, specifically designed for human DNA. Did you think we wouldn't find out? Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Tulaki elder's silver skin paled noticeably. The other council members turned to him in shock. These are serious accusations, the council speaker said, his voice now subdued. They are not accusations. They are facts, Kate replied, echoing Susan's words from the day before. She tapped her wrist device and new evidence appeared in the hologram. Detailed schematics of a Tulaki research facility, genetic sequences, and recorded conversations between Tulaki scientists and council officials. This facility on the third moon of Tulak Prime has been developing a virus that targets only human genetic markers, Kate explained. A virus that would leave all other species unharmed while wiping out humanity. The Tulaki elder rose slowly, his multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. This was merely defensive research. We never intended to use it, Kate interrupted. Then why were production facilities being built? Why were delivery systems being tested on remote human outposts? 23 human colonists died on Proxima 4 last year from an unknown pathogen. Now we know it wasn't unknown at all. The council chamber fell completely silent. Some representatives looked horrified. Others looked away, unable to meet Kate's gaze. You have 3 options, Kate announced, her voice filling the silent chamber. First, grant humanity full membership with all historical reparations for damages caused by council actions. Second, face complete economic isolation as human ships block all trade routes through our claimed space. Or third, choose war against an enemy who has been watching your every move for a decade. She looked around the room. You have 24 hours to decide. I suggest you choose wisely. As Kate turned to leave, the Vorden representative called out, "The council needs more time. These revelations require investigation." Kate paused at the doorway. You've had 50 years to investigate your own actions, Representative Vorden. 24 hours is generous given what we've discovered. After Kate left, the council exploded into arguments once more. The Zilari demanded immediate military action, insisting their combined fleets could overwhelm the humans despite their technological surprises. The Vordans urged caution and negotiation. Several smaller races who had often suffered under council policies themselves quietly discussed the benefits of a new relationship with Earth. Throughout the chamber, representatives received urgent messages from their governments. On many council worlds, the evidence of anti-human conspiracies had been leaked to the public. Protests were forming outside government buildings. Citizens were demanding answers. The Tulaki elder sat alone, avoided by the other representatives, who now feared association with him. His aide approached cautiously. Elder, the public broadcasts on Tulak Prime have been compromised. The humans have released all evidence of the biological program directly to our people. There are demonstrations in the capital. The elder closed his multifaceted eyes briefly. How did they know so much? How did they get past our security? His aide lowered his voice. It appears they had help from within, Elder. Not all Tulaki approved of the council's human policies. Across the chamber, similar conversations were happening. Not all council citizens shared their leader's view of humanity. Not all agreed with the policy of containment and suppression. The carefully constructed unity of the council was fracturing from within. In orbit above the council headquarters, Commander Sam Harrison stood on the bridge of the UES Vigilant. His orders were simple: monitor the council meeting and ensure Ambassador Foster's safety. Status report, he requested. Protests forming on 7 council worlds, sir, his intelligence officer reported. Public opinion appears to be shifting. Rapidly as our evidence spreads, the council is losing control of the narrative. Sam nodded, watching the streams of data flowing across his screens. The plan was working better than expected. For years, humans had been building alliances not just with governments, but with citizens, scientists, and workers across council space. Those quiet friendships were now bearing fruit as the truth spread. Message from General Brooks, sir, the communications officer announced. The council has requested private channels to begin negotiations ahead of tomorrow's deadline. Sam smiled slightly. And so it begins. The council had never expected humanity to fight back. They certainly never expected humanity to win without firing a shot. The galaxy would never be the same again. Commander Ryan Garcia led his team through the dimly lit corridors beneath the council headquarters. The 6 human operatives moved silently, their stealth suits blending with the shadows. For years, intelligence had pointed to secret archives, hidden beneath the public-facing council buildings. Tonight they would find the truth. "Security grid is looped," whispered Lieutenant Eric Jones, the team's tech specialist. "We have 40 minutes before the system resets." Ryan nodded, checking the holographic map on his wrist device. The old service tunnels twisted like a maze beneath the Grand Council chamber. Most council races didn't even know these passages existed. They had been built by the founders of the council thousands of years ago and then conveniently forgotten by those who came after. "This way," Ryan directed, pointing down a narrow passage that sloped deeper underground. Private Diana, Nguyen, the team's youngest member, moved ahead as their scout. Her enhanced vision allowed her to see heat signatures through walls. "No movement ahead for at least 100 meters, she reported. The team proceeded cautiously. They weren't here to fight. Their mission was simple: retrieve the original council, records on humanity. Intelligence suggested that the truth about why humans had been systematically excluded from full membership lay in these ancient archives. After 20 minutes of careful navigation, they reached a massive door made of some unknown metal. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner light. "Can you open it?" Ryan asked Eric. The tech specialist studied the door carefully. "It's old tech, predating modern council security systems. Give me a minute." While Eric worked, Ryan checked in with the Ghost Fleet ships in orbit. "Team Revelation to Vigilant, we've reached the archive entrance, beginning extraction soon." "Acknowledged, Team Revelation," came the response. "Council session is still in chaos. You have clear operating window." Eric finally stepped back from the door with a satisfied smile. "Got it. The symbols are actually a mathematical sequence. Solve the pattern and—" The ancient door slid open silently, revealing a vast chamber beyond. Unlike the sleek, modern architecture of the council buildings above, this room felt ancient. Crystalline shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, filled with data storage devices of varying ages and designs. "Spread out," Ryan ordered. "Look for anything related to first contact protocols or human integration directives." The team moved through the chamber, scanning shelves with their specialized devices. Each member had been chosen for this mission because of their unique skills. Eric could crack any code. Diana could see what others missed. Sergeant Ben Carter had perfect recall of any document he read. Lieutenant Maya Wilson spoke 17 alien languages. "Over here," called Diana, her flashlight illuminating a section of shelving with slightly different colored crystal containers. "These date back to the first contact protocols, about 200 Earth years ago." Ryan joined her, examining the ancient data crystals carefully. "How do we read them?" Eric approached with a small device. "Universal Reader should be able to translate the data to our systems." The team gathered the relevant crystals and began downloading their contents. Minutes ticked by in tense silence as the information transferred to their secure devices. "Got it," Eric finally said. "Download complete." "What does it say?" Ryan asked, checking the time. They had less than 10 minutes before the security system reset. Eric's eyes widened as he scanned through the translated text. This isn't what we expected." The team huddled around the display, reading the ancient council directives regarding humanity. What they discovered stunned them. Humanity hadn't been excluded because they were considered primitive or violent. They had been excluded because they were frighteningly adaptable. Council records showed that humans learned and evolved faster than any known species. Their genetic diversity and neuroplasticity made them uniquely capable of mastering alien technologies and concepts. One passage in particular stood out. "The human species demonstrates unprecedented adaptive capabilities. While individually weaker than many council races, their collective potential exceeds all known parameters. Their neural systems reorganize in response to new information at rates 300% faster than the galactic average. More concerning, their social structures reorganize equally quickly. They adopt and improve upon technologies at exponential rates. Recommendation: contain humanity at all costs. Their potential growth curve threatens the established order. Full integration must be prevented until control measures can be implemented." Technological advancement must be carefully managed through controlled releases of outdated systems only. Ryan looked up from the display, his expression grim. They didn't think we were too primitive. They thought we were too dangerous. They've been deliberately holding us back. Further documents revealed the extent of the deception. The Council had been feeding Earth carefully selected technologies, always obsolete by galactic standards. They had been studying human adaptability while publicly dismissing it. They had been preparing contingencies in case humanity ever broke free of their control. "We need to get this to command immediately," Ryan said, securing the downloaded data. "The whole galaxy needs to see this." As they prepared to leave, Diana noticed something else. "Commander, look at these access logs. These records have been viewed recently by representatives from several Council worlds." Ryan checked the logs. "These aren't just the dominant Council races. These are representatives from the lesser worlds too, the ones who never get a voice in Council decisions." "They know," Ben said quietly. "Some of them know how they've been manipulating us, and they don't agree with it." The realization added a new dimension to their mission. The Council wasn't a monolith. There were fractures within, sympathies that could be leveraged. "Let's move out," Ryan ordered. "Our window is closing." The team retraced their steps through the ancient corridors, their mission complete, but their understanding of the galaxy forever changed. They weren't just fighting an enemy. They were exposing a lie that had shaped galactic politics for generations. Within hours, the evidence was transmitted to Earth. By the next day, these records were broadcast across every Council world. The citizens of many worlds, who had only heard propaganda about dangerous humans, saw for the first time the extent of the deception. The response was immediate and unexpected. On 5 Council worlds, protests erupted demanding fair treatment of humans. Citizens who had their own grievances against the Council elite saw in humanity a potential ally. Scientists who had been silenced when they spoke of cooperation with humans now spoke openly. The Council's unity was crumbling from within. On the bridge of the UES Vigilant, Commander Sam Harrison received Ryan's transmitted findings. "Remarkable," he murmured. "They feared us not for what we were, but for what we could become." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we're receiving messages from representatives of 7 non-Council worlds. They're requesting direct communication with Earth, bypassing Council protocols." Sam nodded. "And so it begins. The galaxy is choosing sides. The revelation had changed everything. What began as humanity demanding its rightful place had become something more. A fundamental challenge to the entire galactic order. The Council would never be the same again. Admiral Nicole Peterson stood by the viewport on the bridge of the UES Determination, watching Earth grow larger as they approached. After 2 intense weeks in Council space, coming home felt strange. The planet looked so peaceful from orbit, its blue oceans and swirling white clouds showing no sign of the diplomatic revolution that had begun here. "We're receiving the approach vector for Washington Landing Zone, Admiral," reported her navigation officer. Nicole nodded. "Take us in, slowly. Let's give the people a good show." The massive ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, flanked by smaller vessels in perfect formation. Below, crowds had gathered to watch the historic return. The Ghost Fleet was no longer a secret, and humanity was eager to see the ships that had changed their place in the galaxy forever. In the grand hall of the newly constructed Galactic Alliance headquarters, President Andrew Martinez prepared to address the gathered representatives. The massive room was filled with delegates from 17 worlds, including 6 former Council members who had broken away to join this new coalition. The remaining Council races had retreated into isolation, forming a defensive pact against what they called human aggression. Intelligence reports suggested they were desperately trying to reverse engineer the technology of the Ghost Fleet. They would be playing catch-up for years. President Martinez straightened his formal jacket and looked out at the assembled delegates. Humans mingled with aliens of various forms, the stone-like Vordans, the insect-like Terulians, even a few blue-skinned Zilari dissidents who had rejected their government's position. It was a gathering that would have been impossible just weeks ago. Today marks the beginning of a new era, Martinez began, his voice carrying across the silent hall. Not just for Earth, but for all our worlds. The Galactic Alliance is founded on principles that the old Council forgot: equality, transparency, and mutual respect. He gestured to the charter displayed on the massive screen behind him. This is not a council where some dictate to others, but a true collaborative body where all species have equal voice proportionate to their contribution. The delegates applauded, many using their species-specific gestures of approval. The charter had been carefully crafted over intense negotiations. It acknowledged the unique strengths of each member world while ensuring no single power could dominate the others. Outside the hall, Admiral Nicole Peterson's transport landed in the designated area. She stepped out, accompanied by her executive, Officer Commander Ben Howard. "Quite the crowd," Ben remarked, looking at the cheering people lining the walkway. "They're celebrating something they don't fully understand yet," Nicole replied quietly. "The galaxy has changed forever, and we're still figuring out what that means." They made their way into the Grand Hall just as President Martinez was introducing the military leaders who had made the revolution possible. General Alan Brooks was already on stage, along with Commander Ryan Garcia and his team, who had discovered the truth in the ancient archives. Nicole joined them, accepting the president's handshake and turning to face the applause of the delegates. It felt surreal. Just 3 weeks ago, she had been commanding a ship that officially didn't exist. Now she was being celebrated as a hero. After the formal ceremony ended, the real work began. In a private conference room, President Martinez met with the military leadership to discuss the path forward. "The Xilari coalition is already attempting to build new defenses," General Brooks reported, displaying the latest intelligence on the main screen. "They've reached out to several fringe species who weren't part of the original council. They're trying to form a counterbalance to our alliance." President Martinez studied the data with a frown. "How serious is the threat?" "Minimal for now," Nicole answered, "but growing. The technologies we revealed were already a generation behind what we actually possess. They're playing catch-up to our decoys." "And our real capabilities remain secure?" Martinez asked. General Brooks nodded. "Operation Revelation only showed what we needed them to see. The Ghost Fleet ships used in the demonstration employed our second-tier technologies. Our true capabilities remain classified." Commander Ryan Garcia spoke up. "The information war is just as important as the technological one, Mr. President. The records we released have sparked debate across all known worlds. Citizens are questioning their governments. New groups are forming that want dialogue rather than confrontation." Martinez looked around the table at the team that had orchestrated humanity's rise from supplicant to power broker in less than a month. "We need to be careful. We didn't break free of the Council's control just to become the new controllers. That's why the Alliance Charter is structured as it is," Nicole pointed out. "Equal voice, transparent decisions, with power distributed, based on contribution rather than seniority or military strength." Outside the conference room, the Grand Hall was transforming for the evening's celebration. Delegates from all 17 Alliance worlds mingled freely, sharing food, drink, and stories. Cultural barriers that had seemed insurmountable under Council rule were breaking down in this new atmosphere of equality. Ambassador Kate Foster, having completed her assignment to the old Council, moved through the crowd, observing the interactions with satisfaction. A Vordan delegate approached her, his stone face showing the subtle cracks that indicated pleasure in their species. "Ambassador Foster, I must express my people's gratitude. For too long, the Vordan were junior partners in the Council despite our contributions. This new arrangement respects our true value." Kate smiled. "That's precisely the point, Representative. Cord. The old Council maintained power through division and artificial hierarchies. The Alliance seeks true partnership." Across the room, a small group of Xilari citizens, political refugees who had rejected their government's position, approached General Brooks cautiously. "General, we wish to thank you," the lead Xilari said, her blue skin pulsing with gentle patterns. "Your revelation forced many of our people to confront uncomfortable truths about our leadership. Change is coming to Xilari space, though it may take time." Brooks nodded respectfully. "Revolution doesn't always require weapons, Citizen Mila. Sometimes the truth is enough. As the evening progressed, ships from a dozen alien worlds flew alongside human vessels in a ceremonial formation over the Alliance headquarters. The message was clear to all watching across the galaxy. Humanity had stopped asking for a seat at the table. They had built their own and invited others to join them as equals. In her private quarters later that night, Admiral Nicole Peterson looked out at the stars, thinking about the journey ahead. The old power structures were falling, but new challenges would emerge. Some races would resist change. Some would seek to exploit it. Maintaining the balance would require vigilance. Her communication device chimed with a message from General Brooks. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. The galaxy is watching. Nicole smiled slightly. Humanity had surprised the galaxy once. They could do it again if needed. The age of human submission was over. The stars would never look the same again.